having coached for a decade and been in business for 30 years, I wouldn't coach any owners of cleaning companies to take post-construction cleanups. They're too sporadic. Like there's just no way to, you're like, I want to live in a house with a goat and a chicken and a cow, and I'd like it to be on fire. How do I do so without being chaotic? I'm like, I don't know. I would move house. Like there's really not what to do. So the question is, how do I serve post-construction cleanup clients and Airbnb clients? I don't know if it's exclusively, but that's all she brought up, and not run around like a chicken with my head cut off. I don't know. I wouldn't serve those guys. So the post-construction folks, just because by definition, we got a lot of work right now and then no work for weeks, and managing that on a staffing standpoint and from a cash flow and profit standpoint is really difficult. So I wouldn't recommend that at all. And it's a crapshoot, right? We're betting it's going to take this many hours over the span of time and nothing's going to go wrong. And sometimes we win and sometimes we lose. And I don't like stuff like that. Where recurring revenue, like the Airbnb, if you charge $200 a clean, I get that it's a little sporadic in that depending on who the renters are, you might have a different, but it's not that there's going to be other construction going on. It's not that, the size or the condo is going to be the same or the house is going to be the same, whatever you're Airbnb. Just the tenants are only going to be different. So you've got a little bit of a mix, but you have a pretty good idea of what's going to cost. So it generally takes 3 hours if they're real clean and 5 hours if they're not real clean. In a post-construction job, you can literally bid 500 hours and you can take 800. Like things can just spin right out of control. If my goal was not to be crazy or running around like a chicken with my head cut off, in no circumstance would I do post-construction. Airbnb is not my favorite. I like it as part of a balanced breakfast. I think Airbnb is a lot better than post-construction, but it's still kind of higher on the frustration scale because there's a lot of, they just got here and something's wrong and we're, and it's fine. So if I'm doing I don't mix residential and commercial. Commercial would be like janitorial, nighttime, nights and weekends, office space. I wouldn't take any Airbnb if I was doing commercial. If I was doing residential, like every other week, I'm going to come to Lindsay's house and, clean it and that kind of a thing. For me personally, I might do 10-20% Airbnb, but I'm not going to have like 80% because it just, again, post-construction is the most sporadic you can be. I've got a ton of work and I have no work. Airbnb is like that, but over a longer period of time. Like, generally we have the high season, the low season. The high season's this and the low season's that. So it's better than I got 3 days of chaos or a week and then nothing for 2 weeks. And then it's better than that, but it's still not as good as I just have 100 Lindsay's and I go to her house every week, every other week, maybe once a month. And it's always her house. It's always the same. It's just super easy to build a real business.